Hi there, welcome back to the CISSP Success Toolkit, CISSP Twister of the Day number 136. Here we are going to talk about CISSP Objective 5.4, which means Implement and Manage Authorization Mechanism. Now, this particular entire section is very testable from the CISSP perspective. Here we do understand MAC, DAC and those kind of models, right? And based on that, let's talk about all of them, but let's do it through a particular question. Here is the question for you on your screen. Feel free to take a 1 minute pause and answer this particular question, and I am going to follow with the explanation in next 10 seconds. I hope it's a simple question and you might have already found the answer by now. Idea is to give you more and more explanation about it, right? An employee is trying to access a sensitive database with customer financial information. They are denied access because their role does not require access to this data. What type of access control is being enforced in this particular situation? So let's start this entire thing with identifying the keywords in this particular question, right? So the employee is trying to access a sensitive database with customer financial information, and they are denied access, okay, because of their role, and because their role does not require access to this particular data. So these are the keywords. What type of access control model is what you have to tell in this particular question. So it's very important for any company to identify the right level of access control model they are going to implement based on their what kind of architecture is there and all of that. So let's take them one by one and we will try to explain. The first one is mandatory access control. In mandatory access control, the users or the subjects, they are given the clearance levels, and the objects will have the classification level, and there will be a system wide policy which will be tagging what can be done by a particular level. So this is not something which is user based. This is a particular policy which is applied across the system, and this is being configured one time by the administrator, and this is much more of a robust kind of very restrictive kind of model, and normally in corporate you will not find it. Most of the time this is the kind of model which is used in the military organization or government organization where highly sensitive data is being held. So that is where we go with the DAC model, MAC model. The next one we are going to understand here is discretionary access control. That is the option number C. Discretionary access control is an access control where we trust the user, and mostly in the small organization with flat hierarchy, all of that, what we do, individual user who is the owner for some kind of object or the file or folder he is creating, the particular user is given the complete right to share a particular file with anyone or grant access to somebody else as well. It may be read, write or execute, or even maybe granting access for somebody else. And that is what is discretionary access control. Where do we find discretionary access control? You can see in your own Windows system. If you are the owner for a particular file, you can definitely go and share your file to whomever you want to share. So this is more on the discretion of the owner of that particular object. That is what is called as discretionary access control. Note the right answer from this option perspective, because in this the access is being denied based on the rule. We haven't spoken about the rule yet, okay? That's why neither the MAC nor the DAC apply in this particular question. Let's also understand what is this attribute based access control. So attribute based access control is a model where apart from the normal authentication, right, the system also checks a particular subject based on a certain attribute. For example, from which device you are logging in, from where you are logging in, what time you are logging in, are you the first time user, what kind of data you are going to log in, and based on those attributes the particular access decision is made. Even if a user has authenticated well, even then the access can be denied because one of the attribute may not be matching. And that kind of attribute based access control is normally applied on top of the role based access control to have a further granular access control model. But here in this particular case, it is based on attribute, it is not based on role, and that's the reason why this is also not the right option. Now finally, let's go to the right option, that is the role based access control. A role based access control is where what we do, first we define the different type of role in the company. It might be a manager, a analyst, a director, and maybe C-suite, something like on those lines. And then we also create groups which are based on maybe let's say department or let's say project, and based on that roles and groups, what we are going to do is we are going to create a component which is the mix of, or you can say which is based on roles, and based on those roles actually we create certain groups and we assign privileges to those groups. Instead of giving the rights to the individuals, we give access or we give privileges to those particular groups. And once those groups are established, it's simple a matter of adding new user or removing a particular user from those groups. A particular user can be part of multiple roles as well, or he can be part of multiple groups as well. And that is perfectly what is called as role-based access control. As the question says that the access has been denied based on the role, that means it is very much applicable in this particular case. So instead of going with yellow, I am marking it with green. That's the right answer. I hope this particular question might have helped you in aligning with the real CISSP exam. CISSP exam is focused on the concept rather than some kind of theory. So it is very important that you practice the right questions. Just not referring to any of the source which is available on internet, that may not help. So you have to understand the concept first and then practice the relevant questions related to that particular concept. And this is exactly what we do in our CISSP Success Toolkit, which is a great program which has helped so many people get CISSP certified. If you are somebody who is having the aspiration to pass the CISSP in next few months, consider visiting www.cybernous.com and contact on the number which is given in the description below, right? And you can directly come in touch with me and I can help you pass your CISSP exam. With that said, I am going to meet you in another video with another twister of the day. Thank you very much and we will meet soon.